Call meeting to order. Roll call.
Snyder?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Keo?
Yes.
Myers?
Here. Public correspondence, is anybody from the public who would like to address?
Correspondence.
Oh, okay.
Okay, as I did the last time, I've got a list of line of duty deaths as reported by Firehouse. The interesting thing on this list is 4 of the firefighter deaths involve vehicle situations.
Involve what?
Vehicle situations. Two were struck by motor vehicles at crash scenes. One was a motor vehicle fire apparatus, and the last was a volunteer firefighter returning to the station in his private vehicle. And then up at the top, of course, the airplane crash. The other thing, Firehouse Magazine annually sponsors the Valor and Community Service Award. I copied out for you the top 3 people. There are a number of others that follow, but these are the top 3 who received recognition. The situation for the gentleman at the top is quite interesting, as are some of the others. And then lastly, Mrs. Penker asked that I bring to your attention that the Marathon County Domestic Abuse Intervention Team is sponsoring a community town hall dealing with domestic violence. And this would be at North Central Technical College on October 26th in the evening from 5 to 8 p.m.
Okay. I just got a comment. I would have liked to have another commissioner here today, but the council and their, turned down the one candidate that was up for consideration. For whatever reason, they don't have to give a reason, I guess, but half of them felt the candidate wasn't worthy. As in politics, I don't know what it is, but we'll go on from there. It's unfortunate because I think it's a reflection of what to expect from this council anyhow, in regards to politics or no politics. So, a little spiel. I'm very upset about this. For those of you who signed up, there were, I think there's 2 of us.
Yeah, 2 so far. You and Steve.
Steve and I are going to the Police and Fire Commission workshop on the 3rd of November. I don't know if anybody's still considering going yet, if we can get you in yet or not, but.
I didn't register, so.
Okay.
So we have time till October 27th is the deadline, I think, so just let me
So
know.
if you're considering going, just let Lori know.
Where is it?
It's at the Dells. Nice central location. So, okay. All wound up here. Approval of the minutes of the September 15th meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have 2 motions and a second for approval of the minutes. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the approval of fire department bills. Chief?
Good morning. In front of you, you have 2 sets of bills. First set of bill reviewed and approved by Commissioner Keo on September 22nd, and the second set by Commissioner Pinker on October 5th. In reviewing the bills, everything in there looks pretty straightforward and budgeted amounts. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on the bills and ask that you approve them.
Okay, a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. You can make the motion. Okay. Second. Bill? Are there any questions Fire department bills. A roll call, please.
Pinker,
Yes.
Speak,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes. Thank you. Approval of police department bills, chief.
Good morning. You have two sets of bills in front of you, one approved by Commissioner Myers on the 22nd of September, the second approved by Commissioner Meek on the 6th of October. The real thing of noteworthy that I found was on 60, you'll see a repair in the amount of $6,157.05 to Squad 97, which is a Dodge Charger. This damage was as a result of a pit maneuver that was done, I believe in August. That actually fell under our insurance, so the cost payout to the department was the $500 deductible. We've since been reimbursed by the insurance company for the remainder of that amount. So our actual cost was $500. Nothing else stood out as completely noteworthy, but with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions and would look for your approval.
Was the pit maneuver successful?
It was.
Are there any questions on the fire department bills? Police department bills, sorry. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Pinker, second by,
No, the other way around.
two motions to approve. Okay, motion by Andy, second by, okay. Got that. No other questions? Roll call, please.
Pinker,
Yes.
Speak,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Yes.
Myers.
Thank you. Fire department activities, training reports, et cetera.
Yeah, so September was a fairly busy month with ambulance events at the high school, with meetings, with a lot of training. A couple of things just to bring forward. On 7A, September 1st was the second day of our rescue task force training, the joint training we did with the police department at the Marshfield Clinic South Building. Another very good training drill. And it was great to be able to work with the police department and others. This month also, or I should say September, all of the shifts participated in vehicle extrication tool demonstrations. Part of the budget for 2022 is to purchase a set of what are called JAWS. These are battery operated ones we're looking at. And recommendations will be coming forward from the shifts in the very near future. 7B was the 9/11 event, the on-duty shift, and the PD participated in an event with the Legion at Veterans Park. It was very well attended. And then here we had a static display. We had 343 flags out in the lawn. We flew the Freedom flag for the month of September, had a couple other little static displays, and then we had our big flag hanging from the truck for the entire day. A lot of positive comments from that. 7D was our firefighter memorial. This used to be an annual event at Sorgan Park. Several years ago, due to declining numbers of participants, it was changed to be held every 5 years. It was scheduled to have happened last year, but because of COVID, it was postponed and happened this year. It was a nice event, a chance for us to remember and honor all of the firefighters who have died, and Marv Stroman, who is the only Marshfield firefighter to have died in the line of duty. Other than that, the monthly statistics are in there. Oh, and I'm sorry, Deputy Chief Bankus has something also.
Just really quick, sorry, to go back to the extrication training and demonstration of tools. We invited in 4 different manufacturers. All 3 shifts had an opportunity, so that was a total of 12 days of extrication at the training center. Would not have been possible without Shaw's Wrecking donating vehicles for us to cut up. They've been instrumental. Every time we want to do extrication training, they step forward and donate vehicles, bring them down and remove them from the training center. So definitely want to get on record that we very much appreciate them.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, and with that, happy to answer any questions. Ask that you accept this on file.
Any questions? We will place those on file. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we need to accept and approve the retirement of,
I got a question, like
Okay, I'm
fire
sorry.
stats.
okay,
Do we have any large property losses since the last meeting? Okay. And I noted again, we've got 82 false alarms. And I realize some of these might be coming from alarm companies that their sensors may go wrong. I also realize that there really isn't, in a sense, there really isn't anything called a false alarm. It is an alarm. I'm still concerned that if we have a large number of these in the facility, that perhaps we should look at something much more aggressive than just putting it in as a stat.
I think Deputy Chief Fletty was looking at the compliance engine of what we had talked about last month. And because it was implemented and COVID happened, we don't have all of the accurate data that we need right now, so it's still building. But I know I've talked with Pete about the false alarm and charging after X number of alarms or whatever. And that's in his mind as well, so
Okay.
it's something that,
Thank you, Travis.
yep.
now we need to accept the retirement of Deputy Chief John Liberelli. Chief, you got any background?
Yeah, so John started with the department November 7th, 1994. He's given 27 years of service to the department, and he has decided to retire. His last day on shift is November 16th, and he will use up the rest of his vacation with his actual separation date from the city on January 6th, 2022. I thank John for all his years of service and dedication to the city. He has taken on a lot of different projects. He was our rope rescue guru for several years, took on the rope rescue program. He also took over the Emergency Operations Center, the Emergency Operations Planning Committee for the department and the city when Deputy Chief DeGrand retired and did a very good job with that. So with that, I ask for your acceptance of his retirement notice.
Move we accept his retirement.
Is a motion to accept, approve his retirement, is there a second? Second? Can I add with regrets? With regrets. The motion?
Yeah, you can. I was thinking about that. It'd be nice if we had something other than regrets to say about a retirement. I'm not exactly,
Appreciation?
well, there you go. That's, work it in there somehow.
Okay.
All right.
You're a minutes guru.
You know, when you retire,
Well.
it's not a matter of just regrets. It's something more than that.
It is. Yeah, it's been a good member of the department. 27 years, wow. Seems like yesterday. All in favor of the approving the retirement of Deputy Chief Liberelli, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Pinker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes. Next item, Chief, promotion, relief Lieutenant Jonas to Deputy Chief.
Yeah, with John's retirement, there comes an opening for his position. Back earlier in the year in June or July, I forget what it was, June, we completed the assessment center and we had 2 applicants for deputy chief. Of those 2 applicants, there was a less than a 1% difference between the 2 in the final scoring. Eric did come out on top. So with that, I'm asking for your approval to complete this phase. and promote Relief Lieutenant Eric Jonas to Deputy Chief Eric Jonas upon John's departure.
Any questions? Can I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Okay, motion by Pinker, second by Andy to approve. Any questions? Roll call.
Pinker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Jonas. Move on to assignment of a relief lieutenant. Chief?
Yep, so with Eric moving up to deputy chief, he filled his relief lieutenant position. And again, during that process, we had 5 individuals participate in the relief lieutenant process. Lance Christopher was first, and he was moved up to relief lieutenant back in August, I believe. And so Ben Griesbach is the second highest scoring candidate. And with that, I would ask for your approval to move Ben up to the assignment of relief lieutenant.
Move approval.
Motion by Keel, second by Steve Meek. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Pinker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Griesbach. Item number 11, Chief.
As you have in your packet and I emailed out previously, I have submitted my retirement. Just over 25, probably close to 25 and a half years by the time I'm done. It's been a great adventure. It's been an honor to work for the city. And I really have enjoyed my time. I can't believe 25 years is gone. It just flew. We were actually reminiscing yesterday about some of the old retirees that are no longer with us, and some stories that happened at the old station. It was fun to bring the new guys in so they could hear some of the stuff and get input from the older guys as well. So my last day is in the office is December 17th, and I will be burning up the rest of my vacation with my last day with the city on January 4th. And with that, I thank the commission for allowing me to move into this position. I hope I didn't disappoint too much. I always did what I felt was best for the department. And with that, I'm assuming next month we would talk about interim. Whoever the interim is going to be, I would like to start working with that individual for a seamless transition. But with that, I would ask for your acceptance of my retirement with my separation date effective January 4th, 2022.
Move we accept chief's retirement.
There's a motion to accept the retirement of the chief. Second.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
We've talked about this a little, I think, but this is an occasion where the regrets thing doesn't fit. You know, you're going to a new stage in your life, you've got opportunities that are different than you've had before. I think that I speak for the commission when I wish you well and all success in what you do in the future.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Any other comments or questions? I think Andy said it all for me too, Scott. Done a good job. We just did a review and annual review, and so you know where you stand. Roll call, please.
Pinker,
Yes.
Knee,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion of the and approval of the non-emergent medical transport letter agreement with Vail.
So I'll just do a quick intro and then I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Bakos. Back in 2017, we brought forward to the commission the medical transportation management agreement. And essentially, it allows us to bill and get paid for non-emergent transfers related to Medicaid. MTM, the Medical Transportation Management Company, lost their contract with the state, and they are going with Vail now. Steve has been working with Vail, and he has the agreement here, and I will let him continue on.
So last week they sent the agreement over, so I had the first chance to look at it. And doing my due diligence, forwarded it to the city attorney right away for him to review, so that I can get it to you guys. His review noted a few concerns. I sent, I believe in the packet you have the current NTM contract along with the proposed Vail contract. There's very little difference between the two contracts. One additional line that we added when we went with MTM is under number 1. We added D, has the authority to deny a request for not NEM services and NEMT services, so non-emergency medical transport. It is customary with all of the ambulances that they can deny. It's just not specifically written into the Vail contract. I've talked with the rep from Vail, and the plan is to add that same language into their contract. I haven't had that come through yet, but that is the plan. The other changes, Attorney Wolfgram had pointed out the term clean under, I believe it was number 2. That language is in the current MTN contract as well, and in the medical transport community, it essentially means that I'm turning in claims that are accurate and on time. From my point of view, I don't see striking that out. I think it's in the current contract, and really it's no harm for us. Then the other one is the member protection provision. I believe it talks about if Vail does not compensate the department, that we cannot basically go after the patient for charges. This is something that's essentially, it's non-negotiable. Vail is a company that the state hires. It would be no different than us trying to go after a Medicare patient for payment. It's just by law, we cannot do it. So that language is not going to be changed. There's no way around that one. And again, that's the same language that's in the current MTM contract as well. And then the only other change I noted was number 11 in the current Vail contract is not listed, in the MTM contract is not listed in the Vail contract. But Attorney Wolfgram didn't note any concern with that one, so I guess I would say there's no concern as well. Other than that, for us to continue to get reimbursed for transports that we, in one way or another, will be doing, my recommendation is that the commission approve moving forward with the Vail contract, so I can get it to the town council for approval.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions?
Steve, item 6.
On which one?
On Vail.
Vail?
It is acknowledged that Vail is a broker of services. With that in mind, does that mean they can bring in somebody else to Marshfield rather than use our service?
Yes and no. So essentially the way these brokers work is when they have a request Let me back up. There's two legs. Ideally, these non-emergent medical transports are scheduled ahead of time. In that case, VAO or MTM currently would try to schedule it. They would call the closest service available, which in Marshfield is going to be us. If we cannot take it, then they will search outside the area to bring in other services. Where we do a lot of these transports are actually in the reverse, where we have more of an emergent transport from one facility to another. For example, our neonate transports that we go around the state. Most of the neonate patients actually have this benefit. So in order to get reimbursed, I have to submit it after the trip. So that answers your question. Yeah. Okay.
The motion to approve this would be to approve the non-emergent medical transport in the EMT letter of agreement with VAO and recommend to the city council and to the city administrator for signature.
So move.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Steve.
Lori, have you got all that?
I was involved with the discussions, especially with the city attorney, the city administrator. And, the city is actually the one that's entering into a contract with them, and we recommend that they do that, so, to clear the air. Okay. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Pinker,
Yes.
Peak,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Policy approvals, Chief.
Again, with our ongoing updates, this month there are 8 policies in there. And we'll kind of go through them one by one. So the first one is number 309, child abuse. This is an update to our current policy, mandated reporter. This policy follows state statute, and there's very little change, really if any, from our current policy. So that one I would ask if you have any questions, I or Steve would be happy to answer those.
Questions? That one in particular? Okay.
311, performance of duties. Overall, this is a new policy to the department recommended by Lexipol. We have incorporated city policy 3.310 rules of conduct into it and referencing other policies, other department policies in our system, specifically the identification card policy. And again, with that, entertain any questions.
Any questions on 311?
Have you ever had need to use this policy?
Yes,
All right.
we've actually referred to the rules of conduct a couple of times in some instances.
Thank you.
Okay.
314, line of duty, death, and serious injury investigations. This is a new policy to the department, and quite frankly, it's one that should have been done a long time ago. In the unfortunate event of a line of duty death or serious injury, this policy lays out the procedure or the steps to take for the investigation. Only 2 changes were made in 314.3A. It was deputy chief / shift commander, and we changed it to the deputy chief. And then the investigation team where risk manager was removed because we don't have a risk manager in-house. But other than that, this policy is one that, again, is recommended and we have not had, but we should have. So happy to answer any questions on that one.
Any questions on 314?
Yes. when we, look at the staffing of the committee, I'm just wondering whether or not there should be a commissioner, either as a direct member of the investigative committee or as an ad hoc member. Now, I realize that at some point, this may require whatever comes from the investigation may require decision-making by the commission. And I would just like the opinion from the chiefs and the.
Are you talking about the investigation team?
Yes.
Okay. I do not have a problem putting Commissioner on there. The other thing we could do is put in some type of verbiage that, the president of the commission would be notified and updated to relay the information to the entire commission. Totally up to you, whichever way you want. For me, it doesn't matter either way. I don't know if there's pros or cons to it. I hadn't thought of ahead of time, but I'm okay with it.
If we were to have a commissioner on that investigative committee, I think it should be ad hoc. Because if they are a full voting member and then something comes to the commission, they've already spoken. So that's my only.
Good point. And as far as like a continuity thing, to have I think the suggestion of maybe having the president, whoever it is, be the designee for the commission would save having to appoint somebody. As the commission changes, it'll just be with the position itself and work.
President of the commission board is her designee.
Okay. I'd like to add that.
Okay, I certainly can. It's an easy add.
Yeah, the ad hoc member.
Yep.
So noted. The president of the commission or his appointee.
All right.
Okay.
Designee.
Designee. Lefty, righty.
All right, so 901, Department of Safety Professional Services Inspections. This is a new policy recommended by Lexipol. We have not had this in the past. Essentially, SPS can come in and do an inspection of the department anytime that there's a concern, a complaint for a routine inspection. We have 2% due audits every 2 years or 3 years, depends on the inspector. But this is one that kind of lay out the guidelines for them to come in and do their inspections. And again, this is recommended by Lexipol, and we have no other comparable items in any policy.
Any questions on 901? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 902, DSPS notification of illness, injury, or death. Again, another new policy, and really this one just lays out that the fire chief or the designee needs to submit annual reports to SPS by March 1st, indicating any illness, injury, or death that have happened.
Okay, questions? Okay.
All right, going on. 1004, conduct and behavior. So overall, this is an updated policy, several references to our current policy. The updates and inclusions are those that have been recommended by Lexipol. 102.1P, general rules and regulations of our current policy have been incorporated, again, as recommended. And those additions are all in blue. With that, I'll open her up.
Any questions on 1004?
1004, and I would also go back, the word usage, back to 314. And that is use of the word should. Is it better to have shall, or is it better to have should? For instance, members should not, while on duty, indulge in hazing or bullying. Would it be preferable to have members shall not? Likewise, if we go back to the line of duty deaths, Marshfield, and I'm on page 13C-2. This would be on the back side of policy 314, be section D, 314.3D. Marshfield Fire and Rescue Department should cooperate, or is it preferable to have shall cooperate? Should is indefinite, shall is definite. Now, later on, 104.17, members shall not use coarse, violent, profane, or insolent language or gestures, and there the word shall is specifically being used.
The shoulds and shalls, if they're in black, those are what is recommended by Lexipol. We can certainly change some of the shoulds to shalls. Our current policy has more shalls than shoulds.
Okay.
And when Lexipol works on these policies, they do them as a best practice so that if something were to happen, and it's a shall and it's a negative to us, should is better in that regard. We can certainly go through and certain things, we can update the shall. That's not from our current one, like I said, has a lot of shalls in it.
And I'll just return to another use of the word shall. And this goes back to the child abuse reporting. Sections of yellow, are they added or subtracted? Yellow?
Oh, yeah, so this one here, that in our old policy was recommended to be merged. But what we did is because the reporting requirements fall under the notification and notification procedure, I opted not to include that because it has specific individuals included in there, so that has been removed.
Okay, that's what I was, okay. No more questions?
Okay. Yeah, I can update with shalls where we believe it would be better.
Yeah, that potentially is not a minor thing. When it gets into the lawyers, that can be a serious difference.
Now, if you were to take the recommended changes that we've been making, they bounce that off Lexipol again?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Okay.
If I come across something, I'm like, we would like shall versus should, I can always email our contact and say what's, the ramifications of each. And they're very good at getting that. All right. So 1015, identification cards and department keys. Really, this is an update to our current policy of full ID cards and keys. Very minor modifications were made. For example, in 1015.5 unauthorized use, they had put in to immediately notify the shift commander if it's lost. And I included, and the deputy chief of EMS, because deputy chief of EMS is the one that does the cards here. Otherwise, that policy is very close to our current one.
As long as you mention identification cards, we have 2 new commissioners who will probably have a third if council is cooperative. It's my understanding that in the past, ID cards of some form were issued to commissioners. If that is the case, we'll have 3 commissioners that don't have ID cards. We are in a command position, more or less. There may be a case, well, certainly if we're on an investigative team for line of duty death, or if something arises and we're going to be in the incident command center, if there's a large incident, we do need some form of identification.
I totally agree. Bill and I have talked about this, and it just has not gotten to that point yet. But we also have lanyards. I think when Andy was president for the PD, or for identification purposes, I mean, it's mainly to gain entrance or to have it on when we're walking through the police department. But I just hear the door click every time I walk in, so I mean, it's not like it's a door. So, I mean, we probably should have them though, in case we're at a function where there's more than one group of people and wouldn't be identifying.
You want to see the ID card on the lanyard? The other thing on that card, on the back side of it, reports the responsibilities of the commission.
If there's a question as to what that should be, I've got mine and it's Julie got yours. But we'll work with the chiefs on putting something in. If you guys do the ID stuff, then we'll do that.
Yes, Peggy did the last ones, the ones that I asked for. And I don't know if you got any record of what she did or if anybody in the department knows.
Peggy did them?
I would assume that she worked with you guys.
Yeah, she would go through us.
Oh,
Yeah, either us or City Hall now can create IDs as well, but we typically do them for like
Right.
retired cops and stuff.
okay.
So, yeah, work with Steve since he, I don't know the program anymore. He's changed the program and updated and everything, so.
Okay.
Well, doing something like I like the last one. I particularly like on the backside, it says what the commission's responsibilities are.
If you could get that to me, I can recreate it.
All right, I'll bring it.
I don't have it.
And
Okay.
I just add one other thing. Last time I was on the commission, Wausau Fire and Wausau Police were dealing with a serial arsonist. And I, on behalf of the commission, I attended a number of their community meetings. And it helped having the ID because at that point, fire department was willing to talk, police was willing to talk. The fire marshal from the state was more than willing to talk if they saw the identification.
Yeah. I'll bring mine in and you can figure out, have you got pictures?
We'll have to get updated pictures.
I don't want my picture changed, it was at least 10 years ago.
Go to the PD and get a mugshot.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. All right, we'll take care of that, Bill.
All right. And then the last policy, 1016, work-related illness and reporting, an update to our current policy on line of duty injury. Most of our current policy was merged with the lexical content as recommended. The stuff that we added in is in blue. That's, again, a lot of that is from our current policy. We also put a link in to city policy related to workers' compensation. So with that, answer any questions?
1016.1.1. Definitions. Mental and physical harm to an employee caused by accident or disease, and also damage to or destruction of. The one that has any concerns, artificial members. Fussier than Andy on that one. Traditionally, member means a member of the fire service, so I don't even have any artificial firefighters. I'm just wondering if they should be artificial limbs or something like that.
And I think that is directly the verbiage from the state statute. I think that's why they did it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's from the state statute.
Quick question.
Okay.
I forget which item it was now, but risk management. You commented that we do not have a risk manager.
We do not have a separate dedicated risk manager.
Do we need that position?
I think if the city had a risk manager itself overseeing everything, I think that would help. A lot of different things. Here we have a safety officer, so he's kind of like our risk manager, but not really titled as such. Having a separate risk manager, I don't know if it's feasible just for our department to have it. I could see one citywide.
Okay. Thank you, I did wonder what your thoughts were.
Okay. Any other questions on 16? Seeing none, motion to approve the listed policies that we just reviewed, 309 through 1016, and include the list of numbers on the agenda. 309, 311, 314, 901, 902, 1004, 1015, and 1016.
I move to approve those.
There's a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Meek. Are there any other questions? Roll call, please.
Banker,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Keel. Sorry.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
And Meek.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Good.
You guys gotta wake up now. You're up.
Okay. Oh, we're still here. Police Department activities, Chief.
All right, another, excuse me, fairly standard month in terms of departmental trainings and meetings. You'll probably start to note that the bulk of the meetings are going back to in-person, which is good because there's a lot that we can't gain from online. Or you also note that there is quite a few online trainings yet, so I do think that that's going to stay relatively common because there are some good things on that. A couple of piggybacks on what Chief Owens had said. The second round of active shooter rescue task force training was great. Really love the collaborative effort because in an event of that scale, that's what it's going to be. That's going to be completely working together, and we've done this several times now. Lieutenant Esther is our foremost expert in there, and I want to thank him for kind of overseeing the two officers who put that together. So that went very well. Secondly, I would like to also say that the 9/11 event I found to be very well put on. It was very enjoyable. It was one of the better ceremonies that I've seen, and it was a pleasure to be there, and our on-shift was also able to come down to that. So that's really all I have for the activities, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, and we'll look for them to be placed on file.
Any questions of the chief or the department at all? Being none, we will place those on file, and appreciate the update. Thank you. Next item is a resignation. Chief?
Okay, on September 13th, Detective Christine Zupans provided a letter of resignation from the Marshfield Police Department with a final day of October 14th, 2021, which is tomorrow. I would like to thank Christine for over 20 years of service to the community as a patrol officer, school resource officer, and detective focusing on sensitive crimes. Her expertise will be missed, and we want to wish her the best in her future endeavors. So at this time, I would ask for your acceptance of that resignation.
Move acceptance of resignation.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other verbiage you want to include?
Well, whatever we standard.
Okay. With regrets?
All right.
Okay.
I just make a comment. I followed Christine's career for a long time. She's a former student of mine. And I'm really proud of what she has done for this department. I don't know whether it's a good thing to say it's nice that she's retiring now, but I know in that type of position, the stress and burnout can be devastating. And it seemed as though she was like the Energizer Bunny. I don't think she was ever going to tire of that. I think she was going to go on for a long time. But certainly, I wish her well, whatever she moves into. And I'll bring up my next comment at the next time.
I'd like to add too, I've been familiar with Christine for probably her entire career, and she's made several positive contributions in any position that she was involved with, and especially the school. Last on, I kind of lost touch with her after she got into the detective bureau, but she was more visible at the schools, and she took her job seriously, and should be missed. So. The motion to approve the resignation. Steve?
Second.
We get,
Oh, we do? I'm sorry.
yeah, we got a motion and a second, we just need a roll call.
Roll call.
Pinker,
Yes.
Peak,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
and Myers.
Yes. Thank you. Permission to fill a vacancy.
This probably isn't worded exactly correctly, but with the vacant detective position, we would look to fill that. Due to some staffing issues, we don't really have a timeline as far as when we could get a person in there, but we would still move forward with the selection of the next detective. That would then leave an opening in the patrol division. So what I would like to recommend from this commission is that I receive permission to begin the process of starting a new list to refill that vacancy, and upon that approval, I would then take that to finance, budget, and personnel to seek their approval to fill the vacant position that Christine's resignation is now created. So with that, I would look for your approval to fill that vacancy.
I'm curious why you wouldn't ask permission to move forward on filling both.
You know, and this is probably a learning curve for me with the last one, when I kind of looked into the responsibilities of the commission, and I think Mike and I had talked about that. If I need permission to fill a promotion, I'm happy to seek that permission. I know I need permission to approve the promotion. So that would just be on the preference of the commission. And if it's an approval for the promotion of a detective, that's fine. I have no, I mean, that would be in your purview. But I know there's also the approval, which we brought through at the last meeting, the approval of Matt Barris's promotion to detective. If that makes sense.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Now, since I view this as a highly technical position, are you going to do a wide area search for this, or are you going to do this in-house?
I would do this in-house.
How many people do we have that would be capable of moving right into that position?
I have any number of people who would be capable, I believe. When we look at the position of detective in our department, there's one job description for all detectives. We don't differentiate between job descriptions between sensitive crimes, drugs, or general. For instance, we have a detective that focuses on computer crimes. He's categorized as a general investigator. If a computer crime, or for instance in Christine's position, a sensitive crime came in, if they were available and if their caseload was appropriate, that would be where that would go. What we don't want to do is get ourselves pigeonholed into where we have people that are so focused that should we have a resignation like this, we have to have someone, or we're losing someone who can't do a sensitive crimes investigation. So that's something that Lieutenant Esser and I have spoken about, is dialing back a little bit of the specialization, and I'm happy to let you touch a little bit on that. But that was also one of the reasons why we went with one job description for detective, because across the Detective Bureau, the job really consists of the same, whether you're working drugs, sensitive crimes, computer crimes, or a general investigation. So hopefully that helps. We've not historically gone outside for any type of a promotion like that. I think our people are well prepared. You know, I think there's often a misconception that patrol doesn't do those types of things, but I can tell you I worked patrol for 17 years. I've done plenty of investigations, plenty of interviews. There are some technical learning curves when you get into the Detective Bureau, but we have a very high functioning department right now, and I'm confident that that position will be filled from the inside.
You just went through a process for promotion to detective recently too, and you had several people that were interested in it very well, from what I understand. So, when Barris was promoted. I'd entertain a motion to fill the vacant detective position.
I will move that.
Motion by Pinker, second by Meek to fill the position. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Pinker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes. That concludes our meeting.
Question, Mike?
Yes, sir.
That would then bleed into approving the position of refilling.
Well, we should probably do that separately.
You want to do that on the separate one?
It's not on the agenda, but could we put it on, does it goof up your timeline if we put it on the next?
It doesn't. I mean, we could, my thought was we'll start a process anyways because we could have anticipated retirements coming too. So we'll start a new list and then I'll throw that on the agenda for next.
Okay, let's do that. It'll be official. Okay, no other business before the commission. Please stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Yep.